Well, hello, my dear ones. How are you? It has, excuse me, it has been another full day here in Illinois. We had some wonderful, wonderful weather 2 days in a row. And so that was great. But I want to first just touch base and check in and see how you're doing. We have been focusing on are you fully charged? And we looked at this before, but when we looked at it before, we were looking at it from our perspectives. First thing we do, of course, is to make sure all our gadgets are charged and things like that. But do we often think about ourselves, charging ourselves? And tonight, we're just going to briefly explore what the author of this book is talking about when he's asking us, are we fully charged? Because there are some other perceptions, some other ways of being in the world that would help us to become fully charged. For example, what we're doing tonight, we are touching base with each other because we know that in order for us to flourish during this pandemic, in order for us to grow, or we need to have some contact with each other. We need support, and we need interaction and all those things. Because when we interact with each other, then we often have thoughts and ideas and that we wouldn't have had before, because one thought triggers another thought. So that's what we're going to do tonight, is explore the other perspectives. Now, this author speaks about 3 key ideas, perspectives on being fully charged. Now, he's looking at meaning, interaction, and energy. So we're not going to try and do all of those tonight. We're just going to look at maybe the one on meaning. And his take is that we become fully charged when we do things for others. And that studies show that. So he has scientific data that shows this to be true. But as a counselor, before we even go there, I would say before we can go out and help and love on someone else, we actually have to make sure that we are ourselves in a good place, that we are suited up, that we are rested and well cared for, taking care of ourselves, because we don't want to give all of ourselves away in helping others if we haven't taken the time to help ourselves. And that is really important now, because we are sheltered in, and this week is a little more difficult than last week, because in some cases we still could go out for a walk, but in some areas we are not to go out, and not going out can impact your emotions. We have these little molecules of emotion that I would say, by molecules, I mean these little tiny things, that emotional things that ripple over into our whole self. Some sadness, or maybe some thought, or just having to stay in and not go out for that walk. It's something about going out for the walk or going out the door that lets you have a deep breath. As my mother used to say, go out and get some air in your lungs. Well, we need to make sure that we have done something during these critical times to take care of ourselves before we can expand to taking care of others. So I'm basically talking about our basic needs. So let's remember that, because different times, times of crises, times of pandemic, when we don't know what's happening and our limitations are restricting us, it can cause us to be feeling isolated and be feeling alone. And not having that touch, we could just be sad. But I'm I'm beaming you some joy, because we are going to survive this. I mean, this one day, hopefully sooner than later, that this will come to an end. So we just want to talk a little bit about the meaning that this author is talking about. He's talking about meaning when you are able to do something that benefits another person. Now, his take is that when you do something for another person that's not benefiting you, and you're not thinking about pursuing happiness and money and all those things, he's suggesting that we look at pursuing a well-meaning life. I'd like to think that when my life is over, I've done something. I've left a legacy. And so when he's talking about making meaning as one of the key ways to survive or to charge our battery, he's talking about helping the other. We don't get our degrees or our move up in life just for ourselves. And this even works in the workplace and in our life, to be able to stop and see what does meaning mean in my life. So we're going to get ready to just stop there, but ask you to just think about that. And it might be a little difficult because it's hard to think about doing something for someone else when you feel all down and low. But I just want you to have some joy. I know that there are some things that you do to make yourself joyful. I know you must have some type of joy toolkit, hopefully, that you're able to put in place to make sure that you have your joy. Because if you have sadness, then you can wander over into the depression state. And if you get depressed, then you lower your immune system. And this is not the time to lower your immune system. This is the time where we want to work on taking the best care of ourselves, because that's going to help us thrive, and especially thrive during this time. So think about meaning, what gives meaning to your life, how, even if you were to be able to think of how you could help someone. I mean, we got all these devices, so even though we are sheltered in, we can still reach out and think of ways to bring joy. So I leave you with that thought. Have a good night, and hopefully we'll talk again. Beaming your love your way. Good night.